The second my darling wife got pregnant, I pulled a fast one and tricked her into signing a divorce agreement. I even silently packed my bags and ghosted her, right after she quit her job to play the role of the delicate, expecting mother. At first, she genuinely thought I was just throwing a tantrum and giving her the silent treatment. It wasn't until a whole week went by without a single peep from me that she finally realized something was horribly wrong. But just as she was about to waddle out with her giant baby bump to hunt me down, her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Vance, intercepted her at the door. If Caspian wants to leave, let him. Why are you chasing him? Serafina frowned, her face twisted in distress. Dad, don't say that. Cass is my husband. I absolutely have to drag him home. Mr. Vance knew all too well. His daughter was as stubborn as a mule. Once she set her mind to something, not even a bulldozer could stop her. Forbidding her from dragging me back was simply impossible. So, her dad quickly changed his tune. Sarah, it is not that your dad does not want you to bring Caspian back. But if you do, what about Thorn? You are still carrying Thorn's child. For heaven's sake, Serafina, who had just finished packing her designer luggage, froze like a deer in headlights. Let's rewind. My older brother and I got married at the exact same time. We even married a pair of gorgeous twin sisters, but sadly, my older brother's wife tragically passed away in a horrible accident. My mother-in-law cried so hard, you would think her liver and intestines were snapping. Then out of absolutely nowhere, she pitched the most mind-boggling idea. She wanted my wife to give my older brother a child. My poor, pitiful daughter. She sobbed. She died without leaving a child behind. Wiping her crocodile tears, my mother-in-law told me that Sarah and Celestia were identical twins. Their DNA is exactly the same. So just consider it a favor to your dear old mother-in-law. Let Sarah give your brother a baby. Our family has an ancient, bizarre tradition of borrowing wombs. Biologically speaking, since they have identical genes, it is basically the exact same as Celestia leaving my brother a kid. The utter garbage spewing from my mother-in-law's mouth practically shattered my worldview into a million pieces, just as I was rolling up my sleeves, fully prepared to flip the dining table. My own biological father chimed in with his pathetic begging. Cass, since your sister-in-law died, your brother has been a walking zombie. He doesn't eat or drink, and Dad is really worried he won't make it. I am begging you to just agree to this. Let Sar give him a baby. If he has a kid, he will have a reason to live. A win-win for both families. Listening to them, you would think that if I did not agree, I would instantly become the cold-blooded monster driving my own brother to suicide. I bit my lips so hard I almost tasted blood, remaining completely silent. My father had always played favorites with my older brother since childhood. I was painfully used to it by now. The only thing that actually mattered was what my wife, Serafina, thought. See, I am the middle child in my family. I have an older brother and a younger sister. Growing up, I was the classic middle child cliché, the most ignored and least favored. I had never felt what it was like to be truly loved. That is, until I met Serafina. Unlike everyone else on this godforsaken planet, Serafina always put me first. When I got sick, my parents would impatiently wave me off, telling me to go see a doctor myself. But Serafina, she would drop her multi-million-dollar business deals, rush over at the speed of light, and nurse me back to health even if I just had the sniffles. When we went shopping, her eyes were glued to me. If I so much as glanced at an item for more than 2 seconds, it would magically appear on my bedside table the next day. Whenever I craved some trendy, viral street food, no matter how ridiculously hard it was to find, Serafina would happily wake up hours early to stand in a mile-long line just for me. She was a wealthy heiress who never bent her knee to anyone, yet she willingly stood in line for hours just to see me smile. When it came to anything concerning me, Serafina was a hands-on perfectionist. She even designed our engagement rings herself. On the day she proposed, Serafina stared deeply into my eyes and made the most beautifully cheesy promise. Cass, maybe your parents don't love you the most, but from this day forward, I swear I will love you more than anyone in the universe. I understand all your pain and insecurities. I swear, once we get married, you will be the center of my universe. You will always be number one. Absolutely, No one will ever shake your place in my heart. Before we even tied the knot, no matter what, chaos broke loose. Serafina always stood by me like an iron shield, and right now, true to her word, she stood up for me without hesitation. Telling her parents to stop pressuring Cass, Serafina declared firmly that their idea was beyond absurd. Cass disagreed, and she refused too. She didn't just speak, she dropped to her knees right in front of them, even though her late sister saved her life. And she owed her brother-in-law everything. She couldn't betray Caspian. Aside from playing the role of his personal incubator, she was willing to do absolutely anything else for her brother-in-law. Her mother cried until her eyes swelled shut. But Serafina wouldn't budge. She just knelt silently in front of her sister's tombstone. For a whole day, she stayed on her knees. My eyes welled up. I had hit the jackpot. I hadn't married the wrong person. Serafina really was the one who loved me most in this world, or so I thought, because that very night, in the dead of silence, I heard rhythmic, wild panting from the floor above. My brother's room, I froze. My first innocent thought was whether my brother had secretly married some gymnast overnight. That heavy breathing echoed right down the hallway, drilling straight into my ears. Curiosity finally got the best of me. I grabbed a jacket and tiptoed upstairs like a ghost. Upstairs, his bedroom door was left slightly open, and the room inside looked like a tornado had ripped through it. My athletic brother was pinning down a woman with pale, porcelain skin, moving like a jackhammer on a construction site. Her silhouette was slightly blurry in the shadows, but something about her looked horribly, terrifyingly familiar. A cold feeling of dread instantly twisted in my gut. Right then, the moonlight cut through the curtains like a dramatic spotlight, landing directly on her face, and this time, I saw it clearly. The woman whimpering underneath my older brother was definitely not some random gymnast. It was Serafina, my fiercely loyal wife who had just defended me hours ago. During the day, she put on an Oscar-worthy performance, refusing to carry her brother-in-law's kid. So, as her punishment, her father ordered her to kneel in the ancestral hall all night. Kneel until you figure things out, he had roared. I honestly thought she was still down there, freezing, in the ancestral hall. I had even snuck down earlier to check on her, only to find the room empty. Watching this live-action show unfold right in front of me, I let out a dry, hollow laugh. The bed upstairs kept squeaking all night long. It didn't stop until the sun broke over the horizon. I didn't sleep a wink. The moment morning arrived, I marched to a lawyer and drafted a rock-solid divorce agreement. Cheating lies. My family had treated me like the village idiot, putting on a grand theatrical masterpiece just to fool me. I'd been completely blind. A marriage like this? No thanks. I'll pass. Holding the fresh divorce papers, I casually walked into Serafina's study. I flipped directly to the very last page of the document and slid it onto her desk. Sign here, I told her. Without batting a single perfectly manicured eyelash, she quickly scribbled her elegant signature. You aren't even going to look at what you are signing, I asked, my voice chillingly calm. Aren't you afraid I'm selling you off? I teased. Nope, Serafina chirped, her eyes practically dripping with fake adoration. I don't need to look. If my hubby wants me to sign, I sign. Even if you sold me, I would happily count the cash for you. Serafina was always like this. Sweet, sugary lies just rolled off her tongue. I used to think this was proof of her deep love. Now I realize it was just her default setting for manipulation. When night fell, my father-in-law put on his angry face again, ordering Serafina to go kneel in the ancestral hall. Serafina looked like a martyr, telling her dad to give it up even if she died kneeling there. She would never carry her brother-in-law's baby. With such intense conviction, you would honestly think she was running for public office. But of course, later that night, the muffled sound of heavy breathing started up again from the room upstairs. Before long, Serafina got a bit too caught up in the moment and straight up started wailing like a banshee. This went on every single night, because making a baby takes a lot of time. They obviously had to practice repeatedly to guarantee optimal results. I started suffering from chronic insomnia. The second I closed my eyes, my brain would helpfully remind me that just one wall away, right above my head, my supposedly loyal wife was playing mattress gymnastics with another man. Thanks to the sleep deprivation, I began looking like an extra from The Walking Dead. My face was so pale, I could basically blend in with a whiteboard. Meanwhile, my brother Thorn looked like he was practically glowing, his complexion getting rosier by the day. Clearly, the man was being thoroughly watered and fertilized. While the house buzzed with a festive vibe, I, on the other hand, had officially become invisible. It was a packed house, but I was just a ghost. Yet, nobody noticed my heavy dark circles, my dead inside stare, or the fact that I was turning into a skeleton. When my brother lost weight, everyone acted like the sky was falling. My mother-in-law basically turned into a 5-star chef, cooking gourmet meals just to get him to eat one bite. Both of my parents hovered around him 24/7. Terrified, his mood might drop even a fraction. Even Serafina had racked her brain planning surprises to make him smile. Now that I was the one wasting away, all I got was constant nagging. "Who are you pulling that long face for?" they scolded. They said if Celestia had not sacrificed herself to save my wife, I would be sleeping alone. They called me heartless for not helping my own brother. According to them, my conscience was eaten by dogs. That is when I finally got it. They could see my pain just fine. They genuinely did not give a flying flip. I did not say another word. I quietly gathered my documents and applied for an overseas transfer through my company. Since nobody in this circus cared, I was done with this family. Not long after, thanks to my brother working those incredibly busy night shifts, Serafina finally hit the jackpot and got pregnant. The family was thrilled, basically throwing a party in the living room. I sat there calmly, sipping my porridge before slowly looking up to meet Serafina's eyes. When I asked if the kid in her belly was actually mine, she froze before exploding into defensive anger. She demanded to know what on earth I meant by that, asking if I doubted her. To keep me from getting suspicious, she had generously carved out a few days from her busy cheating schedule to share a bed. I felt so physically sickened by her that I resisted touching her at any cost. But there was that one night I got totally blackout drunk. Wasted or not, I knew for a fact I never touched her. Yet when I woke up the next morning, there was Serafina, acting all bashful. She played the blushing bride, hugging me and praising my performance. She admitted she had not been around much lately, but she begged me not to doubt her, claiming I knew why she could not sleep in our room. It was not like she was out with other guys. Her dad forced her to kneel in the hall, and she claimed it was all for my sake. She defied her parents for me, she said, and now I was paying her back with baseless accusations. She wrapped her arms around me, pleading that even if the whole world doubted her, I had to believe her love. Her face was a perfect picture of innocent grievance. I just sat there like a statue, calmly sipping my warm porridge. Seeing that her emotional performance was not working, Serafina let out a delicate, dramatic sigh. She claimed she was not supposed to tell me, but she had to stop my paranoid brain from running wild. Her dad had found a new woman for Thorn, her sister's best friend. Apparently, the family elders just really wanted a baby. She pleaded with me to keep this between us and not breathe a word, so I could finally relax. Since someone else was giving Thorn a baby, they did not need her. She wanted us to focus on our own little miracle. Now she wanted me to promise to love her baby. And I nearly laughed. They genuinely thought I had the IQ of a vegetable. Not only were they pulling off a massive incestuous breeding program behind my back, but they were actively trying to gaslight me into becoming the ultimate cuckold stepdad. They honestly expected me to raise this kid as my very own. Now that Serafina was successfully pregnant, my father-in-law miraculously stopped ordering her to kneel in the ancestral hall at night. She stopped sneaking upstairs to see her brother-in-law and actually returned to my room. But she had not even been in the room for 5 minutes before my mother-in-law's panicked voice shrieked. She yelled that my brother was not feeling well. Hearing this, Serafina put on an award-worthy display of inner conflict, but big surprise, she immediately chose to go upstairs anyway, promising she would just take a quick peek. She claimed Thorn was too fragile to handle it alone. My heart was already a block of ice. I did not even have the energy to roll my eyes, let alone stop her. That same night, the muffled, familiar squeaks of aggressive bedspring testing started up again right above me. She was pregnant already. Yet they were still up there acting like rabbits. I thought I was completely out of tears, but my pathetic crying still soaked the pillow. It was already the crack of dawn when Serafina finally waltzed back into the bedroom. Wrapping her arms around me, she sighed that she was so tired she could die, telling me not to overthink things. Thorn had a stomach ache, she claimed, so she just rubbed his belly all night. They absolutely did not do anything else. She reeked of Thorne's cheap cologne. A wave of intense nausea hit me, and I violently shoved her away. Why do you not just move in with him permanently? I spat out icily. He lost his wife, so he obviously needs a woman. I do not need one. Serafina froze. Then her temper flared like a match in a gas station. What is that supposed to mean? She snapped. My sister died to save me. Now that he is sick, what is wrong with me taking care of him for her? She glared at me, her eyes brimming with fake disappointment. Cass, you do not actually think something is going on between us, do you? Fine. If your mind is that twisted, I wash my hands of him. I will not lift a finger for him anymore. I will keep my distance. Are you happy now? With that dramatic line, she slammed the door and stormed out. For the next few days, she actually kept her promise and avoided Thorne like the plague. Even when Thorne was sick and needed the hospital, she stayed a mile away, telling Mom and Dad to take him because she could not. If I go, Cass will start acting paranoid and think I am having an affair. With one sentence, she threw me under the bus. My mother-in-law shot me a venomous look. She hissed that she had never met a man so petty in her entire life. We are family. What is the crime in Sarah taking care of him? Since you are so insanely jealous, congratulations. From now on, you are fully in charge of Thorne. When he gets sick, you are the one driving him to the hospital. After her little speech, she aggressively ordered me to go get the car. I did not say a single word. I just grabbed the keys and walked out to the garage. But the literal second I pulled out, Thorne wobbled sideways and dramatically threw himself directly onto the ground right by my tires, before my brain could even process what happened. Thorne started wailing like a banshee, screaming about his leg. He cried that it hurt so much. That theatrical performance instantly summoned everyone, and Serafina bolted over like an Olympic sprinter. She screamed if he was okay. Thorne grabbed her hand like some dying hero in a tragic movie. He whined about his leg being broken. Serafina's heart bled, cooing softly for him not to be scared. She promised she would not let anything happen to him. Completely caught up in the raw emotion, she completely dropped the brother-in-law title intimately, calling him by his first name while my eyes burned with tears before I could even feel sorry for myself. My mother-in-law pointed a bony finger at my car and shrieked. Caspian was driving and hit him. She yelled. The family swarmed my car like angry hornets, physically dragging me out of the seat. Caspian, how can you be so evil? That is your own biological brother. My own father marched up and slapped me across the face so hard I saw stars. Your sister-in-law died saving your wife. And now you try to run over your brother? Have you no soul? The hit was brutal. Blood immediately pooled in the corner of my mouth. But dear old Dad was not done yet. He grabbed my hair and started raining punches. My mother-in-law joined in, slapping me wildly while sobbing hysterically. My daughter is dead. And now you want to murder her husband with a car? What kind of monster are you? You would not let him use a surrogate. You wanted to end his bloodline. And now you want his life? My face became a bloody mess. But Serafina just stood on the sidelines, watching with eyes colder than an iceberg. It was only after my father-in-law gave me a final violent shove, causing me to smash my head against the car door and paint it red, that Serafina finally spoke up. Enough. Stop hitting him. Thorne is injured. The priority is getting him to the hospital. With that, Serafina carefully helped the supposedly injured Thorne into the car. Thorne had spent the last 5 minutes screaming that his leg was completely shattered, yet there was not a single drop of blood on his pants. Meanwhile, I was covered head to toe in blood, treated like a punching bag by both sets of parents. But Serafina did not even glance in my direction. She just slammed the gas pedal and drove him to the hospital, leaving me slumped against the cold concrete. My heart was so cold, I could not even squeeze out a tear. Eventually, I dragged my battered body to the clinic, 5 stitches in my head, my face swollen like a balloon. My entire body was just a canvas of ugly purple and blue bruises. Not a single inch of skin escaped being pinched, punched, or kicked by them. The young nurse applying my ointment bit her lip before finally addressing the elephant in the room. She asked if my wife was abusing me. She offered to call the police. I just gave her a sad, crooked smile and shook my head, even though I definitely was. Except it wasn't just her. It was the whole family. Speak of the devil. Right then, Serafina walked out of another room, hovering over Thorn as if he were made of fragile glass. The doctor followed, casually saying her husband was fine with just a tiny leg scrape. A band-aid and a single day of rest would do. Frantically nodding, Serafina thanked the doctor. She promised to take excellent care of him, never correcting the doctor that Thorn was her brother-in-law. Once the doctor left, Serafina gently helped Thorn down the hall while he chuckled. He asked if they looked just like newlyweds right now, and Sarah giggled. She agreed, noting she was even carrying a baby. Thorn puffed out his chest with sheer pride. He bragged about getting her pregnant right away, making Serafina's cheeks flush bright pink. She playfully tapped his shoulder, calling him naughty. Thorn smoothly caught her hand with a smirk, asking if he was fierce. He asked who was the one begging for mercy and crying no more last night. Right there, in the middle of a busy hospital hallway, they aggressively flirted in broad daylight. I quickly looked away. I really did not have the stomach to watch this cheap romantic comedy anymore. Even though Thorn had only suffered a minor scraped knee, the family treated him like a reincarnated emperor back home. Everyone worshipped the ground he walked on, shielding him from everything, especially Serafina. She completely spoiled him, whatever he wanted. Serafina would move heaven and earth. If he woke up at 3 in the morning craving juice, she would instantly bolt out of bed and drive across town to buy it. She told me I still did not get it. The only reason she treated him so well was because of me. Serafina always had excuses ready, delivering them with absolute self-righteousness. She claimed she was atoning for my sins, since her sister saved her life and they owed him for that sacrifice. And then you supposedly tried running him over with a car. Our debt is monumental. She insisted that staying quiet was just to protect me from the family's anger, begging me to stop my tantrums. I was told to have some self-awareness and stop targeting him while she worked to make up for my mistakes. Hearing this garbage, I just laughed and nodded. Her face lit up with joy. She threw her arms around me, sighing with huge relief that I had finally figured it out, insisting nothing was going on. She claimed she was just a substitute caretaker since his wife, her sister, had died. She even joked her sister's ghost would never let her off the hook. But she missed a crucial truth. Real heartbreak is not loud. It is not about screaming or throwing plates. It is a calm, quiet acceptance right before you leave forever. Screaming and fighting actually means someone still cares. They still want to fix things. But when I stopped fighting, it was over. I stayed completely silent as the family kept treating Thorn like royalty. Instead, I quietly went about preparing all of my official documents for relocating overseas very soon. For my final days, I only wanted peace. But the bear chose to poke me. Thorn strutted into my room with a smug, punchable smirk, asking if I had finally figured it all out yet. He sneered that her unborn baby belonged to him, warning me to know my place. His demand was for me to divorce Sarah voluntarily, promising that he might show some mercy if I complied. I almost choked from sheer amusement. Looking at him deadpan, I asked why he was so sure she would actually marry him. He was her dead sister's husband, making their marriage literally incestuous. Thorn flared up instantly, lunging forward. He grabbed my collar and spat pure venom right into my face. He asked if having a living wife made me better than him, demanding to know what the hell I was so proud of, calling me a lifelong loser since birth. He mocked Sarah, loving me, offering to drop a truth bomb on his little bro. He sneered, Sarah didn't love me, sleeping with him for much more than a baby, even after she got pregnant. She still sneaks into my room every other night, telling me how wild and passionate she is in bed. I didn't even blink, just calmly telling her that male prostitutes are also wild and passionate in bed. But that doesn't mean any woman actually wants to marry them. That single line absolutely launched a nuclear bomb in Thorn's brain. He raised his hand, aiming to slap me into next week. But right mid-swing, his hand froze in midair. He didn't actually hit me. Instead, he asked if I remembered that fun little game we used to play when we were kids. Thorn's lips curled into a smile so purely evil it could curdle milk. I froze as a horrifying realization of what he was about to do slammed into me. Instinctively, I lunged forward, trying to grab him. But I was already too late, still wearing that psychopathic grin. Thorn threw his entire weight backward and went tumbling violently down the long staircase. Little brother, let's play a game. For a middle child like me, that phrase was the ultimate childhood nightmare. The moment our younger sister was born, Our parents poured 100% of their attention into her. They had zero time for me. So they just dumped me on Thorn, who was a rebellious, angsty teenager back then. He was supposed to be out enjoying his youth, not playing babysitter. Naturally, he hated it. But since he didn't dare rebel against our parents, he channeled all his toxic rage directly onto me. He beat me up and screamed at me constantly. Why? I would beg him to stop and threaten to tell our parents. Tiny, helpless me had no other way to defend myself. That was when Thorn would flash that creepy, twisted smile and suggest we play a game. Then, laughing like an absolute maniac, he would grab one of my heavy toys and smash it directly into his own forehead. He called it the game of seeing who mommy and daddy would believe, battering his own face until he bled profusely. Yet, he kept laughing, mocking me to go complain to them together and see whose side they would actually take. Then, he would drop the toy, clutch his bleeding head, and start wailing at the top of his lungs. He would scream, asking why I hit him with my toy, while I stood there as a little kid, completely paralyzed by fear. I just stared at his psychotic smile and the blood dripping down his face, too terrified to even form words. The outcome was always predictable. My parents took one look, bought his Oscar-worthy performance, locked me in a room, and beat the living daylights out of me. Having tasted victory, Thorn only doubled down. He made a habit of secretly torturing me, then bashing his own face in to convince our parents that I was the real monster. That was his favorite childhood game. Now that we were adults, he had not pulled this sick stunt in years. I never expected him to dust off that same psychotic playbook today. A blood-curdling scream echoed through the entire mansion as Thorn rolled all the way down the stairs, landing in a dramatic pool of blood. Serafina was the first one to arrive. Seeing him lying in a puddle of blood, her face twisted into something truly terrifying. She shot me a look so venomous I thought she might slice me into pieces and feed me to pigs. But she did not waste time talking. She screamed for the maids, and together they hauled the unconscious Thorn away, rushing him to the hospital at lightning speed. Saving his life was the absolute priority, so Serafina rushed him straight to the emergency room. I ended up at the hospital, too, but I did not take an Uber. They dragged me there like a war criminal, with both sets of parents taking turns beating me during the entire car ride. Mr. Vance arrived, pale with worry, asking Sarah if Thorn really lost too much blood and needed a critical transfusion. As he spoke, he grabbed my ear and yanked me to the front, snarling that if Thorn needs blood, they should drain this bastard. They share the same blood type. And since he pushed Thorn, it is only right he pays back with his own blood. Whatever my brother needs, drain it from him. The hospital's blood bank was fully stocked, but my loving father-in-law literally shoved me at the doctors, demanding they turn me into a human juice box. Thankfully, he was not the chief executive of the hospital, so everyone's eyes naturally turned to Serafina. They waited for the queen to pass judgment on my miserable life, and she looked at me with eyes full of deep heartbreak and disappointment. She asked why I would do this, insisting for the millionth time that the baby in her belly is mine, not Thorn's. She claimed they are completely innocent with no dirty secrets, begging to know why I won't just believe her. Then she paused, and the heartbreak in her eyes was replaced by Arctic ice. She said she wanted to protect me, but I broke her heart, and if she does not punish this evil, she would insult her dead sister's spirit. Guards, drag him out of here and drain him for Thorn. Take whatever Thorn needs from his veins. Immediately, her goons tackled me to the floor and dragged me away. I thrashed like a wild animal, tears blinding me as I screamed until my throat tore open. I didn't push him. He threw himself down. Serafina, back when we married, didn't you promise to always believe me? I was framed and I did not touch him. Do you believe me or not? I shrieked so hard I felt taste of copper in my mouth. But Serafina did not even look at me. She refused to believe my innocence. That was when my tears finally dried up. Only my heart kept bleeding as they slammed me down onto a cold hospital bed. A thick needle was jammed straight into my vein. I began to shiver violently from the blinding pain. My blood drained. 200, 400, 600, 1,000 milliliters. I felt freezing cold. The entire ward fell silent, making me feel like I was totally alone in this world. After a major medical effort, Thorn was finally declared safe. Sarah, Thank goodness I made it. Thorn rasped weakly from his pillow. If I had died, leaving you and the baby completely alone in this world, I could never rest in peace. He gave her puppy eyes. Is the baby okay? Have you been taking care of yourself lately? Faced with her brother-in-law's very obvious flirting, Serafina looked highly uncomfortable. Though she hesitated, she slowly but firmly pushed Thorn away. Thorn froze in pure disbelief. Sarah, what is this supposed to mean? Don't misunderstand. Thorn, Serafina quickly tried to explain. You are incredibly charming, but I can never betray my own sister. Besides, my heart belongs to Cass. I love him, and I am never divorcing him. Cass has done some wild, crazy things lately, but only because he is hopelessly in love with me. He probably found out about us, got blinded by jealousy, and tried to hurt you without caring about the consequences. At my jealousy, she smirked, thrilled. I loved her enough to commit attempted murder. Thorn, we had an agreement from day one. We were just borrowing a womb, no feelings. We just needed a baby as a legacy for my late sister. When the baby is born, you must treat it as my sister's child, not ours. I will sign the entire Vance family fortune over to you and the kid when the time comes. Then Cass and I will move away to live on our own, so he won't threaten you ever again. Waking up, I limped past his VIP ward and heard her entire ugly talk. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. How incredibly noble. How selfless. She signs her entire empire over to the brother-in-law she is sleeping with, and saves her cheap loyalty for me. My heart was officially a dead graveyard. I walked away without looking back once. Sarafina, keep your cheap love. I do not want it. The moment I got home, I packed my bags. Through our years together, I treated every gift from her like a sacred relic. The very first roses she ever bought me were dried and pressed into bookmarks. I even saved our movie stubs in a beautifully decorated scrapbook, not to mention the massive pile of expensive custom gifts that literally filled a whole room. This room was a museum of a love that was dead. I used to protect these items with my life. If anyone touched them, I would snap. Now, it was all just garbage, dragging everything out to the backyard. I poured lighter fluid and struck a match. A massive bonfire of dead memories. Nearby stood the peach tree we planted together on our wedding day. Peach blossoms mean love. She once told me she hoped our relationship would grow as deep and strong as those roots. I stared at the wood for exactly 2 seconds. Then I grabbed an axe, chopped the trunk down without hesitation, and tossed it straight into the fire. After that, I went back inside and pulled out our prepared divorce papers, slamming them onto her bedroom vanity. Leaving those papers, I grabbed a pen and scribbled a final quick note. Goodbye, Serafina. Do not try to find me. I never want to see you again. We are completely even. From now on, we are strangers. I grabbed my single suitcase and walked out. I boarded a plane to Zephyria, flying away without a single shred of regret. None of them had ever loved me. It was not worth looking back. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, Serafina made sure Thorn was tucked in before walking over to my room. But the bed was completely empty. Mr. Sterling was already gone. A cheerful nurse broke the news, asking if she was his sister-in-law. She added that Serafina and Thorn had such a beautiful marriage. The entire hospital was gossiping about them. The nurse said that when her husband was unconscious, Serafina did not eat or drink for 2 whole days. The staff actually thought Serafina and Thorn were married, while I was just some random younger brother. Serafina frowned, but she did not bother correcting them. She just looked slightly annoyed, asking when exactly Caspian left. The nurse said he left this morning. Serafina nodded, brushing it off. She hopped into her luxury SUV and drove straight back home. She planned to sit me down for a serious talk. But when she got to our mansion, she found the charred stump of our love tree. The bedroom was stripped completely bare. On her vanity sat a parting gift, a goodbye letter, and a divorce agreement. Staring at those divorce papers on the table, Serafina's brain completely short-circuited. Why on earth was her signature on the last page? When did she ever sign this? Then, it suddenly clicked. A few days ago, I had asked her to sign a document. Ever since our wedding, I managed all her personal finances. I constantly brought her financial and investment papers to sign. So, naturally, she assumed it was just another boring stock portfolio transfer. She blindly scribbled her name without reading a single word, even as a finance major. She trusted my investment skills completely. My stock picks always yielded amazing returns. So she handed me the reins and never bothered reading the fine print. She never expected that the boring investment paper was actually a one-way ticket to getting divorced. Well, this obviously is not legally binding, Serafina thought, tossing her hair. She did not sign it willingly. Cass tricked her. And a court would throw this out immediately. Thinking about it, Serafina suddenly let out a soft laugh. She completely understood now. This whole divorce agreement was fake. I was just throwing a massive tantrum. I did not actually want to leave her. If I really wanted a divorce, we would have had a screaming match first, right? We would have hired a platoon of lawyers to split our assets. Instead of me just leaving silently like this, what kind of amateur divorce was this? In her twisted logic, my actions were straight out of a cheesy romance novel. The dramatic husband runs away in a huff, waiting for his wife to realize her mistakes, cry tears of regret, and chase him down. He is just acting spoiled to get her attention. Serafina chuckled. Her Cass was so cute when he threw a tantrum. Having untangled this mental knot, she felt completely at ease. She treated that divorce agreement with all the respect it deserved, ripped it into shreds and tossed it in the trash. As for the dramatic goodbye letter, it went right into the bin too. Absolutely worthless. Saying they would never see each other again was just cheap bait to make her chase him. She was dripping with overconfidence. She firmly believed I was so hopelessly addicted to her that I would rather die than actually leave. But confidence aside, a wife has to do what she has to do. When her husband runs, she has to play along and chase him down. If she did not fetch me soon, this fake divorce might accidentally turn into a real one. She snapped her fingers and ordered her staff to investigate and find out which rock Caspian was hiding under. Her highly paid assistants immediately went to work. Serafina figured that since I was playing hard to get, I would be hiding in some obscure, untraceable place. Maybe she would even need to hire a private investigator. Money was no object anyway. To her absolute shock, her team cracked the case by dinner time. Boss. We found him, Mr. Sterling went to Zachariah. The assistant reported. Serafina raised a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. You found him that fast? Is this a trap? How did he hide so poorly? No trap. Boss. We checked everything. The assistant replied, Mr. Sterling's company recently opened a new branch in Zuria and needed a manager. He officially applied for the transfer. Now, Serafina felt a tiny prick of panic. An overseas corporate transfer was no weekend getaway. It was a long-term commitment of 3 to 5 years. If I was just throwing a tantrum, why not just book a flight and hide in some hotel? Why go through the massive bureaucratic nightmare of an official corporate transfer? Despite the slight unease, at least she knew exactly where I was. Serafina was not the type to sit around overthinking. She preferred to fly straight to Zachariah, kick down my door, and demand real answers. Without a second thought, she booked a first-class ticket to Zephyria for the very next morning, but right as she finished packing to fly out and drag me back, her father stopped her. If Caspian wants to go, let him. Why are you chasing after him? Mr. Vance sped in anger. That cold-blooded snake. Do you honestly think our family is desperate to keep him? Serafina frowned. Dad. Don't say that. Caspian is my husband. I have to bring him back. Her father knew there was no arguing with her once she dug her heels in. Plus, she was clearly obsessed with me. Convincing her not to drag me home was a lost cause. So he expertly pivoted. Sarah, I'm not saying you can't bring him back, but if you do it now, what about Thorn? Remember, you are pregnant with Thorn's baby. Knowing Caspian's incredibly selfish nature, the second he gets back, he will force you to abort. Hearing this, Serafina hesitated. So, Dad, you are saying we bring him back. Just not right now? Exactly. Mr. Vance coaxed her like a snake oil salesman. He's stuck working in Zephyria. He can't run away. You can pick him up whenever you want. Why not wait until you give birth? Then fly to Zephyria to get him? By then, the deed will already be done. The baby will be born. No matter how much of a tantrum Caspian throws, he won't be able to change a thing. Besides, it is good to leave him hanging for a bit. I'm a man. I understand men better than you do. You can't spoil them. The more you baby a man, the more he walks all over you. Cold, shoulder him for a few months, and he'll beg to come back. Listening to her father's logic, Serafina was thoroughly swayed. Dad made total sense. This whole secret surrogacy deal had been done in absolute silence. They tried so hard to keep me in the dark, yet I still caught on. I made a massive scene, tried to kill Thorn twice, ran away, and even tried to extort her with fake divorce papers if she dragged me back right now. Who knew what crazy things I would do next? I might march her straight to a clinic for a DNA test and force her onto an operating table. So, going with her dad's plan was the safest bet. Leave me to rot in Zephyria for a while, and focus on incubating that baby. Once the baby popped out and things were irreversible, she'd fly over to collect me. She already had the perfect lie queued up. She would tell me the baby belonged to Thorn and her sister's best friend. As for her own baby, she would fake cry and claim my running away broke her heart, causing a stress-induced miscarriage. She could play the ultimate victim, milking my guilt for all it was worth to ensure I never acted out again. It was a devious, brilliant plan. 2 birds with 1 stone. With her strategy locked in, Serafina ordered her minions to watch me 24/7 in Zephyria. Meanwhile, she stayed home, nurturing her baby bump and resuming her hardcore bedroom sessions with Thorn. Perhaps she figured that once she finally dragged me back home, her free pass to Thorn's bed would expire forever. She went absolutely feral, demanding his services anytime, anywhere. They did not just stick to the bedroom. In the mornings, when Thorn went to the kitchen to fry eggs, Serafina would slither up behind him, sliding her hands down his pants to demand a quickie right against the counter. Thorn would protest that he was cooking. He'd tell her to stop messing around, pretending to be a decent guy, warning her the soup would spill, but she didn't care. She told him to cook the food while she cooked him, aggressively starting a kitchen battlefield scenario. Breakfast always ended up burnt to a crisp, but Serafina would leave the kitchen looking completely satisfied. And it wasn't just the kitchen. Serafina made it her absolute mission to christen every square inch of the mansion. The desk in the study, the expensive Italian leather sofa in the living room, even the master bathroom toilet seat. Mr. and Mrs. Vance, being the incredibly supportive parents they were, took the hint and temporarily moved out. With the massive villa completely to themselves, Serafina's inhibitions totally vanished. She even dragged Thorn out to the backyard for some wild action under the stars. They went at it so wildly that the original excuse of making a baby was completely gone. They were just drowning in a sea of pure lust. Sarah, please do not go to Zephyria to get Caspian back. Thorn panted heavily, hovering over her while working overtime. Can we just stay like this forever? Serafina wrapped her arms tightly around his neck, letting out a breathy moan. Thorn, don't say that. You're my brother-in-law. We can't, but don't worry. Before our baby is born, I promise I will thoroughly satisfy you. I'll take you to heaven and back. Hearing this, a flash of genuine disappointment crossed Thorn's eyes, but there was nothing he could say. He just gritted his teeth and thrust harder, desperately hoping his physical performance could somehow anchor Serafina to him permanently. So the two of them basically went at it like rabbits on steroids for 10 straight months. They did not stop until Serafina literally pushed the baby out. Even when she was going into labor, she claimed intense physical activity makes the process faster, just to drag Thorn in for one last round. Eventually, the baby arrived. Serafina spent a few months recovering her figure and her strength. She got her glamorous self back. Immediately, she bought a first-class ticket to Zephyria for the next morning. Before her flight, she snuck into Thorn's room. She rode him into the mattress all night as a grand finale. The next morning, they practically had to peel her off. Thorn, after 20-plus hours in the air, Serafina finally landed in Zephyria. Her minions had been stalking me for nearly a year, so tracking me down took zero effort to win her hubby back. She obviously could not show up empty-handed. She bought a massive, gaudy bouquet of roses to give me the surprise of a lifetime. But when she marched up to my table with her giant flowers, she froze. Sitting right across from me was another woman. Serafina's blood instantly began to boil, slamming the flowers down. She grabbed me by the collar and shrieked with the absolute fury of 1,000 Karens. Caspian Sterling. Who the hell is this? We have only been separated for a few months, and you have already found a new toy? Do I even exist to you anymore? Honestly, I was flabbergasted. I was just having a casual business lunch with a client. Then suddenly, my psychotic ex-wife materializes out of thin air. She grabbed my shirt, screaming if she even existed to me anymore. I burst out laughing. It was just too funny. Wife? What wife? I asked, looking at her like she was some alien. Serafina. We are divorced. The current me has absolutely zero relation to you. That single sentence hit her like a truck. Her face turned pitch black as she hissed at me to stop messing around. Serafina tried to suppress her volcano-level rage, claiming I tricked her into signing that divorce agreement. She claimed it was completely invalid. Whether it is valid or not is not up to you. I replied with chilling indifference. It is up to the government. Did you seriously not receive the official divorce certificate they mailed out? Because I got my copy all the way out here in Zaporizhia. As I spoke, I calmly pulled a crisp green divorce booklet out of my briefcase and slapped it on the table. When I left the country, it was in such a hurry that the paperwork had not fully cleared yet. I had not gotten the physical booklet. But once I settled in Zaporizhia, I hired a shark of a lawyer to bulldoze the rest of the process. The lawyer was incredibly efficient. The second those certificates were printed, he overnighted them. One went to me in Zaporizhia and one to Serafina back home. Staring at the real, official certificate in my hand, her brain completely short-circuited. What divorce certificate? I never got anything. She stammered. Cass, did you forge a fake certificate just to mess with me? Before I could even dignify that with an answer, she launched right back into her monologue, saying that enough was enough. She told me to stop throwing a tantrum. She knew I was angry, and so mad I wanted to scare her with a divorce. But marriage is not a child's game. You cannot just quit whenever you feel like it. She admitted she was wrong. She admitted she neglected me recently, but begged me to believe her. She and Thorn were completely innocent, and she only took care of him for her dead sister. Her sister died to save her. She owed her life and could never repay that debt since she was gone. The only way to ease her guilt was by treating her husband exceptionally well. Blah. 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 It was the exact same script on repeat. Innocent, just repaying a debt. I had heard these lines so many times my ears were bleeding. Serafina, do I have stupid tattooed across my forehead? I asked, my voice dropping to a glacial temperature. Save the Oscar performance, that disgusting. Filthy little circus you and Thorn have been running behind closed doors. I know every single detail. Hearing this, panic flashed in her eyes for a second, but she doubled down, clinging to her lie like a life raft. What filthy circus? She claimed I was just paranoid and imagining things. None of it is true. Cass, why do you have to view everyone through such a twisted, dirty lens? She swore to the heavens. Thorn and I are pure. We have absolutely no inappropriate relationship. If I am lying, may I die childless and be torn to pieces. That was a seriously hardcore oath to swear. Unfortunately for her, all it earned was a cold, mocking smirk from me. Well, Serafina, if that is the case, you better start preparing for a childless future. I reached into my pocket, pulled out a high-tech voice recorder, and pressed play. The second I hit the button, Thorn's aggressively passionate voice echoed from the speaker, saying how amazing Sarah was and how much he loved it. Hearing her brother-in-law's voice echo through the restaurant, Serafina went completely pale. She looked like a ghost. Her mouth opened, ready to lie that Thorn was just yelling randomly, that the woman in bed wasn't even her. But a second later, her own voice blasted from the speaker. Thorn, you are so fierce. Were you this wild when you were with my sister? Boom. Ironclad. Undeniable evidence. Serafina's jaw hit the floor. She had absolutely zero defense left. I told her I knew she'd try to gaslight her way out, which is why I planted recorders. I stared at her with dead eyes and told her it was not just audio. If you are feeling nostalgic, I have high-definition video I can play right now. Honestly, back then, I feared she would fight the divorce in court, so I secretly rigged the house with cameras and mics to capture her and Thorn's twisted little reality show. If the divorce got messy, I was ready to drop those tapes like a nuclear bomb to force her hand. But thanks to my lawyer, the process went through without a single hitch. The evidence was never needed. Funny how it was useless during the divorce, but came in handy right now. You did not just cheat on me. You lied to my face over and over. Holding back for an entire year, I finally unleashed the venom I had been storing. My eyes were bloodshot as I roared at her. Your entire family teamed up to play me for a fool. Every single one of you knew the baby in your belly belonged to Thorn. Yet you kept me in the dark. You had the audacity to point fingers at me, calling me petty, calling me evil. Sarafina, what you did goes way beyond cheating and lies. You led a coordinated family-wide campaign of bullying and psychological torture against me. Calling it bullying was putting it mildly. They did not just unite to deceive and isolate me with toxic gaslighting. They actually physically assaulted me. Back when Thorn faked being hit by my car, I was beaten bloody by the Vance family. When Thorn threw himself down the stairs, Serafina personally ordered her goons to pin me down and drain my blood. 1,000 milliliters. A healthy adult male is only supposed to donate 400 milliliters maximum in one sitting. But that day, under Serafina's direct orders, they forcefully drained 1,000 milliliters of life right out of my veins. By the end, I was hallucinating. I genuinely thought I was going to die. I was freezing to death while my wife, the woman who swore she would love me above all else, guarded Thorn's bedside. How could I possibly forgive her? How could I not hate her with every single fiber of my being? Serafina, I will carry the memory of what you did to me to my grave. My voice was steeped in absolute agony. I do not forgive you. I never want to see you again. Get the hell out of my sight right now. If you do not, I am calling the cops before the last syllable even left my mouth. Serafina collapsed to the floor with a loud thud. Cass, please listen to me. It is not what you think. She knelt on the floor, desperately wrapping her arms around my knees, bawling her eyes out. You have to believe me. I love you. You are the most important person in my world. I did not want to cheat. I did not want to betray you. It was Thorn. Thorn drugged me. My mind was completely messed up from the drugs. That is the only reason I slept with him. I swear my heart only belongs to you. Honestly, I could not believe it. We had reached the absolute bottom of the barrel and she was still trying to lie her way out. I looked down at her pathetic, tear-streaked face. Oh, really? So you only slept with him that one time because you were drugged? Serafina froze for a second, then nodded her head so fast she almost got whiplash. Yes, yes. Just that one time. Cass, please forgive me. I know I made a mistake. I will never do it again. And honestly, I am a victim. 2. Thorn spiked my drink. If he had not done that, I would have died before betraying you. Lies just flowed out of her mouth like a busted sewage pipe. My gaze turned from glacial to downright murderous. Sarafina, even now, you are still treating me like an idiot. Do you seriously think I only recorded you once? No. I recorded you dozens of times. The memory card was practically full. Only once, drugged, from the very beginning to this exact second. Every word out of your mouth is a calculated lie. My rage and disgust finally hit critical mass. I could not hold it back anymore. I raised my hand and delivered a vicious, ringing slap directly across her face. That single slap was packed with an entire year of raw trauma. A bright red handprint instantly bloomed on her cheek, but she did not even care about the pain. She just clung tighter to my legs. Cass, do not be mad. I am sorry. I know I am wrong. Hit me. If it makes you feel better, beat me to death. I will not complain. Her hysterical crying and growling bought her exactly zero sympathy from me. No thanks. Just hitting you makes my hands feel dirty. I spat. This is your absolute last warning. Let go and disappear. Or I am calling the cops. Cass. No. Please don't. Serafina sobbed, tears and snot smearing across her face. You can beat me. You can curse me. Please do not leave me. If hitting me makes your hands dirty, I will do it myself. With that, Serafina actually raised her hands and started violently slapping her own face, crying out that she was shameless, calling herself a monster. She slapped her face over and over, screaming curses with every single blow. She yelled that she was an animal who broke her promises, continuing to beat herself until her face swelled up. Each strike landed harder than the last. She was clearly using self-harm to manipulate me, hoping my notoriously soft heart would eventually crack and forgive her. But I just stood there, watching her like a bizarre science experiment, never once telling her to stop. I did not say a word, just letting her thrash herself until blood dripped from her mouth. Eventually, her face went totally numb. The physical pain faded, and she finally stopped. She whimpered, looking up at me like a beaten dog, asking if I was finally ready to forgive her. If I did not, she threatened to keep going. I did not reply. I just dialed the Zephyria emergency police line. Serafina scrambled up, desperately trying to snatch my phone, begging me not to chase her away. She cried that I could not be this cruel. Who was the real monster here, back when we were married? Who broke their vows and rubbed their cheating right in my face when I was bleeding and broken? Who turned their back without a glance? Who sat on her high horse, ordering her guards to bleed me dry without caring if I lived or died? I told her coldly that she lost the right to beg a long time ago, then reported her to the dispatcher. Zephyria has incredibly strict, efficient laws. Even if you are married, which we were not, harassment reports bring immediate police response and arrest. And Zephyrian law does not play gender cards. If a woman stalks a man, she goes straight to jail. Since we were divorced, we were just two strangers to the law. The police arrived in under 5 minutes, moving fast to arrest Serafina. Serafina screamed for them to let go. Clearly unaccustomed to foreign laws as a newcomer, she tried to pull her rich girl privilege, screaming that he was her husband, and demanding why they were interfering in a family matter, demanding if they knew who she was. She threatened to take their badges. Unfortunately, Zephyrian cops did not care who her daddy was. They slapped cuffs on her and threw her into a squad car. Eventually, her expensive assistants had to fork over massive bail money to free her. But jail did not deter her at all. The second she stepped outside, she wanted to march right back to my apartment. Her assistant pleaded with her not to go looking for Mr. Sterling right now, physically blocking her path. He warned her that Zephyrian laws were brutal. He already called the cops once. If he does it again, they will force you to wear an electronic ankle monitor. If you wear that, stepping anywhere near him will trigger an instant alarm. The cops will swarm you and throw you in federal prison, meaning you will literally never see him again. That reality check pierced her delusion. She raged, asking if the laws here were written by absolute psychopaths. Cass is her husband, she argued. So how could they ban her from him? But her assistant warned it did not matter. That is the law here. The assistant sighed heavily. You cannot rush this. If you want to win him back, you have to play the long game. Serafina actually listened and refrained from ambushing my home that night. Instead, she threw a mountain of cash at a top-tier Zephyrian lawyer, begging him to find legal loopholes to exploit. He explained that while the laws were strict, they required specific triggers. The police would only strap an ankle monitor on her if she officially harassed me, which required clear proof, physical contact, hundreds of crazy texts, or trespassing. In other words, the lawyer concluded, as long as you never touch him or text him, and leave no footprint of any threat, the police cannot touch you. Serafina got the picture immediately. Exactly. The lawyer nodded. No evidence. No crime. Her anxiety vanished instantly. She dug her heels into Zephyria, launching a massive legal campaign to win me back. Sure. It was incredibly annoying, but as long as she kept a polite distance and played the perfect lady, the cops couldn't touch her. She actually believed she could win me over and make me fall in love again. Just like that. Serafina kicked off phase 2 of her psychotic obsession. She acted like we were a couple of teenagers hopelessly stuck in the honeymoon phase. Every single day. Fresh flowers, artisan pastries, and ridiculously expensive boutique gifts showed up at my office. She even dropped a fortune to buy the penthouse apartment directly across the street from mine, just so she could breathe the exact same air. Each morning, she spent hours on her makeup, then waited outside my building with a bouquet of roses to ambush me. Good morning, Cass, she'd say. You look even more handsome today. Want a ride to work? I can drive. Oh. And I bought you breakfast. It's that French soufflé you used to love. By evening, she was camping outside my office, holding roses and waiting to walk me home. Cass, you must be starving after work. Let me buy you a Michelin star dinner. No? You just want to go home? That is fine, I'll walk you. We live in the same complex anyway, so it's right on my way. Here, just take the flowers. Please. But no matter how aggressively she pursued me, I treated her like toxic waste. Those roses went straight into the dumpster while I stared her dead in the eye. The gourmet breakfast went straight to the stray dogs in the alley. And those insanely expensive gifts, I threw them into a massive cardboard box and dumped it right on her doormat. But even after all that, Serafina refused to take the hint. It's fine if you reject me. Kess, she said, I know true devotion can melt even the coldest stone. I'll keep chasing you until you fall back in love with me. Take your time. We have the rest of our lives. Years ago, hearing that cheesy romantic stuff would have made my heart melt. Now, it just made me want to gag. I wanted absolutely nothing to do with her. I just wanted her to vanish so I could finally live in peace. But calling the police was totally pointless. Her lawyer had coached her perfectly. This was legal stalking. No touching. No texts. No actual threats, just highly annoying. Inescapable proximity. Venting to my best friend over a beer. I told him the cops think it's just eager courting. Apparently, it doesn't count as harassment. I groaned, dragging a hand down my face. What the hell am I supposed to do? I've told her a million times we are done. There is zero chance. But she lives in a complete fantasy world. Do I really have to quit my job and hide in some bunker just to escape her? Why should I? I did nothing wrong. Why do I have to live like some fugitive on the run? Hearing me rant, my buddy's eyes lit up with a devious glint. Bro, I actually have a genius plan to get her off your back forever. It's a bit ruthless. Though, you got the guts for it? I was instantly hooked. Tell me, I don't care how ruthless it is. If it gets rid of her, count me in. My buddy leaned across the table and whispered his diabolical plan right into my ear. The next morning, Serafina stuck to her creepy routine, dressed up like she was walking a red carpet. She stood outside with her daily bouquet. She didn't have to wait long before I walked out. Good morning, Cass, she chirped, flashing a $1,000,000 smile. That suit looks incredible on you, really brings out your eyes. And look, I brought you breakfast. I know you kept tossing the Western food. Since you've been in Zapiria so long, I figured you were craving a taste of home. So, I woke up at 4 a.m. and drove all the way to Chinatown to get you authentic wontons and soup dumplings. They're still steaming hot. Try some. Like a dog presenting a bone to its master. She held out a sleek blue thermos. Normally, I wouldn't even look at her, let alone accept anything she tried to hand me. But this time, I paused for 3 seconds. Then I reached out and took the thermos. Serafina's heart practically exploded. He took it. He actually took the thermos. What did it mean? His icy walls were finally thawing. Hallelujah. Her relentless stalking was paying off. As long as she kept grinding, her beloved hubby would be back in her arms in no time. Inside, she was doing cartwheels. On the outside, she tried to play it cool. She even acted deeply humble. Cass, don't worry. I know you're just hungry for Chinese food. And this doesn't mean you forgive me. I promise I won't overthink it. I know the terrible things I did can't be erased by a single breakfast. Cass, I'm willing to spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I don't even expect your forgiveness, as long as you don't chase me away, as long as you let me see you. That's enough. It was a painfully pathetic speech. Most guys probably would have felt a twinge of pity. But I knew better. This wasn't real remorse. Typical Serafina, using her silver tongue to spin another story. I had already sat through her circus of lies once before. I was not falling for the sequel. I took a breath, turned my face to stone, and said, Serafina, I can forgive you on one condition. Anything. Serafina gasped, her eyes going wide. Forget just one condition. I would agree to 100. I let out a slow, chilling chuckle. One is plenty. Right on cue. A sleek, insanely expensive sports car pulled up, the door swung open. Out stepped an incredibly gorgeous Asian woman who looked like she belonged on a Vogue cover. Let me introduce you, I said, reaching over to grab the supermodel's hand. Meet Era. She is my god sister here in Zapiria. Right after I moved here, I got into a horrific car accident. I was totally alone. In a foreign country, bleeding to death on the street. If Ara had not driven by and rushed me to the hospital, I would be dead. She saved me. I smiled warmly at her, then faced Serafina. Ara's grandmother is terminally ill. Her dying wish is to hold a great-grandchild. So Ara urgently needs a man to father her baby. Since she saved my life, I owe her a debt I can never truly repay. Looking straight into Serafina's eyes, I said, if you let me donate my seed to give her a child, I will remarry you. This was my best friend's genius plan. We were going to give her a heavy dose of her own toxic medicine. Cass, the reason she keeps bothering you is because her brain is completely broken. My buddy had told me the night before. She honestly does not think she did anything wrong. In her twisted mind, since her sister died, she owed her brother-in-law a child. To her, it was just a noble sacrifice. Sure, any sane person can see that is totally psycho. But you cannot apply normal logic to a psychopath. Since she thinks she had a righteous reason to cheat, she feels entitled to win you back. You must shatter that delusion. Throw her exact logic right back at her. Force her to watch her husband go make a baby with someone else for charity. Once she feels that pain, she will finally get how messed up this is. Then she will leave you alone. It made sense. Serafina still had hope because she did not see sleeping with family as a deal-breaker. She thought she could just hit the undo button. But the bridge was not just burned, it was completely nuked from orbit. So I dropped a big bag of cash to hire a local supermodel to play my fake savior. I was going to make Serafina choke on the exact nightmare she fed me. If you let me father this child, I will forgive you. I repeated coldly, do not worry. My heart will always belong to you. But once the baby arrives, we will have to help raise it. She is a busy model with no time for diaper duty. Plus, being a single mom is just too hard. I expect you to treat my child exactly like your own. After all, she did save my life. We must repay this debt. Right? I was literally feeding Serafina the exact words she used to justify cheating with Thorn. Shoving her own garbage back down her throat made Serafina's face turn a spectacular shade of green. Cass, stop joking. This is not funny, she said, her voice trembling. Who said I am joking? I am dead serious. I replied, wait, are you the only one allowed to borrow a womb with your brother-in-law? But I cannot lend my seed to my savior? Hearing that, Serafina looked ready to vomit. How is that the same thing? She shrieked. My sister actually saved my life. You are just doing this to disgust me. Oh, so you do know what disgust feels like. I sneered. Why did you not think about how sickened I was watching you and Thorn? At least Ara and I are unrelated. You and Thorn were basically committing incest. Serafina's face cycled through 50 shades of panic and rage. She knew she had no leg to stand on. All she could do was swallow her rage and treat me like a child. Cass. Okay. That is enough. I know you suffered. I know you were hurt. I understand your pain. Please stop this tantrum. From this day forward, I promise you are the only man I will ever look at. No other man will ever touch me. It was honestly pathetic. She still thought I was just throwing a tantrum to make a point. My heart went completely cold. Since she thought this was a show, I decided to give her the full 3D experience. Serafina, you still do not get it. I said, my voice turning dead calm. Yes, I want to hurt you, but I actually want to make a baby with Ara. I'm not trying to disgust you. This is my absolute non-negotiable condition. If you want to be my wife, you must watch me build a family with someone else. It is only fair. With that, I grabbed Ara by the waist, pulled her close, and crashed my lips onto hers, kissing her passionately right in front of Serafina. She started shaking like a leaf. Her lawyer had warned her 1,000 times, do not touch him. No scene. If you do, the cops slap an ankle monitor on you. You are done. But watching me make out with a gorgeous supermodel completely fried her brain. She lunged like a wild animal, shoving us apart. Cass, you are mine. She screamed, I forbid you from kissing another woman in front of me. She dug her sharp nails into my shoulders, her eyes completely unhinged. I cannot take it. You are mine. How could you touch someone else? Watching her have a total psychotic breakdown provoked zero sympathy in me. Honestly, the ice in my veins just froze harder. I just kissed another woman. And you are already acting like a lunatic. I noted dryly. But you climbed into bed with my own brother. Over and over again. Do you even know how violently sick to my stomach I was then? I wanted to vomit. Me own organs. And yet, you actually thought I would forgive you. Never. I will never forgive you as long as I breathe. Looking at you makes my skin crawl. My words sliced her heart to pieces. She was in so much pain. She literally could not breathe. Cass. I'm sorry. Right then, she finally understood the weight of what she had done. Before this, Serafina had apologized a million times, but none of those apologies were real. They were just cheap tactics to drag me back as her loyal dog. She never truly believed she had committed such a horrible act. Now, forced to watch me kiss another woman, she finally felt the agonizing pain of betrayal. Just one kiss had sent her over the edge. Yet, she had made me sleep a floor below while she screamed her brother-in-law's name for weeks. I'm sorry. Serafina wailed, tears streaming down her face. Cass, I am so sorry. I never realized how much it would hurt you. I love you. If I could turn back time, I would never do it. Please forgive me. Just give me one last chance. She collapsed to her knees, genuinely broken and weeping. Too bad for her. The train of forgiveness left a year ago. Tracks blown. I believe you loved me once. Serafina. I said, my voice completely emotionless. But your love is cheap. I do not buy cheap trash. I just want you out of my life. If you actually love me, just vanish. Her tears practically pooled on the pavement as she hugged my legs, crying uncontrollably. Cass, is there really no hope? Zero. I said, but she stubbornly refused to let go. She looked up, her red, puffy eyes shifting toward me. It looked like she was swallowing broken glass, but she forced the words out anyway. Then what if I agree to your condition? I froze, my entire body locking up. I stared, shocked. What did you say? She repeated. What if I agree? I agree to let you have a baby with another woman. She gritted out, trembling. You are the only man I have ever loved. I cannot survive without you. If this is my only chance, I will take it. I was floored. I had drastically underestimated the depths of her psychotic obsession. She actually agreed to the most degrading demand imaginable. This put me in a very awkward spot. I only made that demand to disgust her. I did not want a baby, and only paid for a quick kiss. Surrogacy was not in the contract. She did not run. She called my bluff. Serafina. Did you think I was bluffing? No. I adjusted my mask. I am dead serious. If you agree, I am going to breed with another woman. I will have sex with her right in front of you. And when the kid is born, I am going to be a doting father. Not only will you wear the biggest green hat in history, but you will also pay child support. Hearing my description, Serafina looked like she was actively dying. But even in agony, she refused to let go. I know, she sobbed. Cass, I cannot leave you. Watching you with someone else feels worse than being stabbed. But losing you is completely unbearable. I deserve this. My karma. Torture me however you want. I accept it. As long as you do not leave me, I will endure it. Things had officially spiraled out of control. I had two options. Option A, Era's sports car had a high-definition dashcam. It caught Serafina lunging, pushing Era, and clinging to my legs. That was physical harassment. I could take that to the precinct. Trigger strike 2. And the cops would slap an ankle monitor on her faster than she could blink. She would be legally banned from my sight under threat of federal prison. Problem solved instantly, but for some dark, twisted reason, I hesitated. With the launch codes literally in my hand, I suddenly did not want to press the button. Love and hate are just two sides of the same coin. The deeper you love, the darker things get when it sours, and I had been ready to literally die for this woman. Yet she threw me away from my own brother. How could I just call the cops and let her off with a slap on the wrist? On the outside, I looked completely calm. But inside, I was a bubbling cauldron of pure, unadulterated rage. This was the woman who took every single ounce of my bravery and passion, then flushed it straight down the toilet. Right then, those years of bottled-up anger mutated into something truly malicious. Calling the cops was just too clean. It was letting her off way too easy. For years, I swallowed my pride. When my brother framed me, I took it. My mother verbally abused me. I swallowed it. My father beat me. I swallowed that too. My in-laws treated me like a stray dog. I endured it all. I had swallowed so much toxic waste that my soul felt radioactive. I was totally done being the bigger person. I wanted to watch the world burn. And I was going to start by setting Serafina on fire. You said it yourself. Serafina. I smiled with a dark, dangerous smirk. So, let us start today. Come to my apartment tonight, and you can watch me consummate the deal. Oh, and I am searching you at the door. No phones. No cameras. Serafina's face twitched violently, but she finally bowed her head in total submission. This was her sole remaining lifeline to keep me. And she took it, just like that. The revenge tour officially kicked off. I turned to Ara and spoke to her in fluent Ziperian. Ms. Adara, are you actually comfortable sleeping with me? If not, our contract ends right here. I will still pay you. Ara blinked, smiled, and replied in perfect Chinese. I actually speak Chinese. You know, Mr. Sterling, we just met, and it is none of my business. But let me give you some advice. Do not use someone else's trash behavior just to punish yourself. Your ex-wife is a shameless cheater. But you do not need to force yourself to sleep with a random woman just to spite her. You are treating your own body like a weapon, and it is not worth it. I couldn't help but chuckle. Who says this is a punishment? Am I not allowed to enjoy the company of a stunning supermodel? I used to be a pretty traditional guy. I wanted that fairy tale. One true love for a lifetime garbage. My smile turned bitter as I shook my head. Reality had hit me with a baseball bat. My wife cheated on me. Even if I somehow moved past it, the dream of a pure, loyal love is dead. She killed it. So why on earth am I still guarding my chastity like a monk? It is completely pointless. Since love is a scam, I might as well enjoy lust. Physical pleasure is still pleasure. Right? People always say revenge cheating is pointless and only dirties your own soul. But why does sex have to be dirty? Why cannot my revenge be a luxurious, hedonistic vacation for myself? Sure. My main goal was to mentally torture Serafina, but I also genuinely wanted to have a good time, so I have high standards for my bed partners. I continued, flashing a charming smile. They must be drop-dead gorgeous with a killer body. Do any of your supermodel friends offer exclusive, private arrangements? I will gladly pay top dollar. Hearing this, Ara looked genuinely conflicted. There were definitely models in her circle who did yacht girl stuff, but she did not want to introduce them to me. Why? Because, well, I was exactly her type. In fact, she actually really wanted to hook up with me, but she was a romantic. She wanted the whole package, the dates, the hand-holding, the romance, not just some transactional hookup. But after debating internally for 10 seconds, Ara decided to bite the bullet. If she did not jump on this right now, she would have to watch her crush sleep with one of her coworkers. Sir. She blushed furiously, her eyes dropping to the floor. You do not need to hire anyone else. I can provide that service. I blinked, totally thrown off. Wait, you do that kind of work? Just 5 seconds ago? She was giving me a moral lecture like a nun. I absolutely do not offer this to anyone else. She defended herself frantically. But you, well, you are really handsome. So I am making a one-time exception. I burst out laughing. You have got a pretty sweet mouth. You must be great at flirting with guys. No? No. No. Ara waved her hands frantically. I do not flirt with just anyone. I only flirt with a guy I like. Her face was practically a tomato at this point. It was cute. But unfortunately, I did not believe a single word of it. My ex-wife used to say the exact same sweet things while straddling another man. I was a deeply damaged guy. Unlike normal people who get dumped, cry into a pint of ice cream, and download Tinder a week later. I was like a traumatized turtle. I had cautiously poked my head out, got it smashed with a hammer, and was now retreating back into my shell permanently. The trauma Serafina inflicted was catastrophic. It was not healing anytime soon. Honestly, I assumed I was permanently broken. That is why I wanted purely transactional pleasure. I did not believe in love anymore. To me, Sex and love were completely separate now. They didn't belong in the same room anymore. Then, night fell, dragging a heart heavier than a lead vault. Serafina slowly pushed open my bedroom door. Inside, Ara and I had already showered and were good to go. But she was actually pretty nervous. It was her very first time, let alone doing it in front of a live audience. Her adrenaline was surging, but she forced herself to play it cool. Her rival was right there. No room for weakness. Go search her. I ordered casually, make sure she doesn't have a phone or a wire. Ara obediently stepped up and gave Serafina a thorough pat-down. Serafina only had her phone, which was promptly confiscated. With any recording risk dead, the real show started. I leaned in and confidently kissed Ara's soft pink lips. Ara's face flushed deep crimson, but she wrapped her arms around my neck and eagerly kissed back. Things escalated fast. The bedroom air grew heavy and hot. Standing in the corner, Serafina felt like she was facing a firing squad. So this was the agony of watching the love of your life give themselves to another. It was pure torture. It felt like a rusty serrated knife was slowly, methodically carving out her heart. We hadn't even started yet, and she was already falling apart. She wanted to scream. Stop? The word choked her. But she knew if she uttered a single sound, I would kick her out, losing me forever, for the entire night. She stood trapped in her own personal hell, torn between the pain of my betrayal and the absolute terror of losing me. This mental torture chamber lasted until dawn. The resilience of youth. Even after a whole night of intense cardio, I was still buzzing. Cass. One more time. Ara whispered, clinging to me like a koala. Please. Just one last time. She was like a kid discovering sugar for the first time. Completely addicted. I laughed and happily obliged. Over the next few weeks, Ara and I put that bed's warranty to a serious test. We tried every position, every technique, and even introduced some creative props. Maybe it was her Western upbringing, but she was incredibly open-minded. No kink was too taboo. No idea too wild to try. She was also ridiculously clingy. During the day, she draped herself over me like a high-end designer blanket. Whenever Serafina was watching, Ara would make silly faces, stick her tongue out, and mark her territory. Honestly, Ara was incredibly fun to be around. I was living my best hedonistic life. But for Serafina, every second was a slow-motion execution. She was finally feeling the exact, soul-crushing agony that I had dragged myself through. She finally got it. Her past actions weren't just wrong. They were downright diabolical. She started to deeply reflect on her sins, and the more she thought about it, the more she realized she had acted like a total sociopath. Technically, me sleeping with Ara wasn't even cheating. We were legally divorced. I was a completely free agent. I hadn't lied to Serafina, and I hadn't betrayed her. But she had betrayed me when I loved and trusted her completely. Cass, back then, you must have been in even more pain than I am right now, Serafina said one evening, offering a weak, shattered smile. I finally get it. I was a monster. I am so sorry. I said nothing. I just kept eating my dinner. Serafina almost wished I would scream at her, or maybe even slap her again. It would have eased her guilt. Cass, let me make it up to you. Please. She begged. She unzipped her designer briefcase and pulled out a stack of legal documents thicker than an old phone book. These are the deeds and transfer papers for every single asset in my name. I am giving everything to you. I stopped chewing my steak. I slowly looked up at her. Giving everything to me? Seriously? You are not funding your dear brother-in-law's lifestyle anymore? I mocked. Remember when she miscarried Thorne's baby? She told me she was handing Thorne the entire Vance fortune, forcing me to live in poverty just to prove we were done with him. Now she wanted to hand me her empire. Cass, please do not mock me anymore. Serafina pleaded miserably, saying she knew how twisted she was. We were married. Every major decision should have been made together. Yes. My sister saved my life, but I had no right to take our joint assets and give them to Thorne without your consent. Besides, my sister left an estate and my parents are loaded. Thorne will be completely fine financially. You are my husband, and my wealth belongs to you. That is how a real marriage works. It was a beautiful speech. Unfortunately, her change of heart came a year too late. My feelings? dead and cremated, no matter how sincere her apologies were, or how desperately she tried to buy my forgiveness. The vault was locked forever. After surviving my revenge for a while, Serafina made two massive moves. First, transfer 100% of her net worth to me. Whether I wanted it or not, she forced it into my account's pure blood money to buy my forgiveness. Second, fly back home immediately, confront Thorn, and permanently get rid of the bastard child she gave birth to. Thoroughly traumatized, Serafina now saw her supposed noble surrogacy as the completely psycho mistake it actually was. She couldn't let Thorn raise the physical proof of her ultimate betrayal. More importantly, my cold, lifeless reaction made her realize one terrifying truth. If I ever discovered she had Thorn's baby while I was away, I would vanish from her life forever. I would never look back, and that kid was a ticking time bomb. The child had to go. She made up an excuse, flew home in secret, and heard Thorn say, "Sarah, you're back." Thorn welcomed her with this sickening enthusiasm, craning his neck to look past her, pretending to search for me. "Why are you alone?" didn't Cass return, he asked. Though deep down, he was thrilled. He figured Serafina had finally dumped my boring self to become his full-time partner again. But her next words instantly crushed his little fantasy. "Thorn, I am sorry," she said, her voice dark and heavy. "He refused to come back with me. He hasn't forgiven me yet. But I'm not giving up. I'm working every single day to win him back." And he finally gave me one tiny sliver of hope. "Oh, really? Well, that is great news." Thorn lied, his face twitching. "But why are you apologizing to me?" Serafina stared at him with eyes as cold as the grave. "I barely managed to secure this one chance with Cass," she said. "I cannot afford to lose him. So I'm sorry, but we cannot keep this child. I have to send it away." But now, their kid was almost a year old. Thorn had spent a year playing dad. Hearing she wanted to discard the kid like trash, he completely panicked. He grabbed the toddler and tried to run. But Serafina's massive goons instantly blocked every single exit. "Have you lost your mind?" Thorn screamed. "This is your own flesh and blood. He is almost a year old. Learning to crawl, you can't just throw him away like garbage. He's our baby." But Serafina's face remained utterly ruthless. "I am sorry, Thorn. If I let you keep this kid, Cass and I will never have a future. For the sake of my marriage, you're just going to have to suffer." She didn't even blink as she snapped her fingers. "Grab him. Take the baby." "No." Thorn was genuinely terrified now. He clutched the baby close and tried to scramble out a window, screaming like a madman. "Help me. Mom and Dad, Sarah is going totally psycho." But she didn't realize Serafina was already 2 steps ahead of them. She already tricked her parents onto a luxury cruise. The mansion was completely isolated. Thorn had zero backup. "Help! Someone help me. She's stealing my baby." Thorn shrieked into the empty house, but it was useless, easily overpowering him. Her goons pinned him to the marble floor and ripped the crying baby straight out of his arms. "Sarah, please." Thorn bawled hysterically. "He is your son. Your actual son. You can't be this evil." His tears hit the cold wall of her new morality. "You are my brother-in-law. You have absolutely no right to raise my child," she stated coldly. "Only Caspian has the right to raise my kids." In that exact moment, Thorn's heart shattered into a million tiny pieces. "Serafina, you are a monster." Pushed to the absolute brink of despair, Thorn suddenly started laughing like a lunatic. "Haha, you stupid idiot. Do you honestly think doing this will make Caspian forgive you? Keep dreaming. I'm his brother. I know him better than anyone. He will never forgive you. He is completely ruthless when crossed, the exact second you betrayed him. You signed your own death warrant. Everything you are doing is completely pointless, do you hear me? You're wasting your time." Serafina completely ignored him. Years ago, when we first started dating, I had actually warned her, "Serafina, if you ever fall out of love with me, just tell me and I won't cling. I will let you walk away with your dignity intact. But you must never lie to me. And you must never betray me. Because I hold grudges like absolutely nobody else. If you betray me, I will literally never forgive you as long as I live." At the time, she just thought I was being a dramatic, edgy boyfriend. Now she knew it was basically a legally binding contract written in stone. Once betrayed, I turned into a complete brick wall. But Serafina reasoned with herself she had paid her dues. She had stood there like a martyr, watching me hook up with a supermodel for 3 straight months. No woman on earth could survive that level of humiliation. Her punishment was finally complete. The ledger was officially balanced, and I simply had to forgive her. I didn't have a choice. If I didn't forgive her, then what was the point of all that trauma she just went through? Under her cold orders, the hired muscle dragged the infant away to parts unknown. Thorn lay pinned to the floor, watching his baby disappear until the heavy door slammed. Serafina, karma is coming for you, Thorn cursed, his eyes rolling back in his head. You will burn in hell, and with that final, bitter promise. He blacked out on the floor. Funnily enough, his curse was spot on. That very night, after dumping her dark secret, Serafina boarded a flight straight back to Zaphiria. She even packed the custom engagement ring she had designed for me years ago. She wanted to propose to me all over again. Thorn's bastard was gone. Her slate was clean, and she was ready for a fresh start. Cass, you've tortured me for 3 months. Surely your anger has run its course by now. Serafina pulled out the glittering diamond and dropped to one knee on my living room floor. I finally understand the weight of what I did. Please, let us end this nightmare. Let us start over. Okay? She looked up at me with shiny, desperate eyes. I admit, I failed you during our first marriage. I was awful. But I learned my lesson. Please, just trust me. The woman kneeling here is not the monster who hurt you. I have changed. From today on, I will be the perfect wife. I will love you, protect you, and stand right by your side against the whole world. I know she is not pregnant yet. But please, can we just end this punishment? Cass, please forgive me. She was begging on her knees, completely stripped of her dignity. I stared down at her miserable, kneeling figure, and I smiled. It was a gorgeous, genuinely happy smile. Serafina, do you want to know a fun little secret? I asked, keeping my voice light and breezy. Do you want to know why I have been taking her to bed every single night for 3 months? Yet her stomach is still flat? Serafina froze. To be honest, she had been a little suspicious herself, considering how often and how wildly I slept with Ara. The girl should have been expecting triplets by now. Why had not there been a single positive pregnancy test? Before her brain could process the math, I dropped the punchline because I had been feeding her birth control pills every single morning. Hearing that, Serafina completely short-circuited. Cass, what are you talking about? Seriously? Serafina, are you actually this dense? I stared at her, my eyes bright with the intoxicating high of pure revenge. I was playing you. Forgive you only in your dreams. I would not forgive you if you were the last woman on a dying earth. I made you watch me with another woman just to mentally destroy you. There was never going to be a baby. Serafina's eyes nearly popped right out of her skull. She stared at me like I was a monster. How could you do this? She stammered, her entire body shaking. To earn your forgiveness? She wanted to scream. To earn your forgiveness? I ordered my goons to dump my own infant son. I did not even let them tell me where they left him. But the words choked in her throat. Since I did not know the baby existed, admitting she gave birth to Thorn's kid would not win her any favors. Congratulations, Serafina, I said, offering her a slow, highly sarcastic golf clap. You finally got a taste of the soul-crushing agony of betrayal. Now, we are officially even. As I spoke, I calmly pulled out my phone and dialed the Zaphiria Police Department again. My ultimate finisher, break her completely, then kick her out of my life for good. No! Cass, you cannot do this to me. When the Zaphirian police dragged her out of my apartment, she fought like a demon, screaming that she loved me until her voice cracked. I did everything you asked. How can you be so cruel? I stood there and watched you sleep with another woman. I swallowed every ounce of my pride. You promised. You cannot back out now. Her shrieks echoed down the hall, but it changed nothing. The officers forcefully dragged her straight into the elevator. Since this was her second harassment offense and I had security footage, the Zaphirian justice system did not play nice. Serafina got slapped with a 30-day sentence in a foreign jail. Once released, they fitted her with an unremovable electronic ankle monitor. With that stylish accessory wrapped around her leg, She was legally banned from coming within a mile of me. If she crossed that invisible line, her GPS tracker would alert the local precinct and send a SWAT team to arrest her instantly. If she triggered that alarm 5 times, she would be deported from Zephyria forever and blacklisted. I had finally completely purged Serafina from my entire life. With the Wicked Witch locked in a cell, my slightly toxic arrangement with Aura also needed to come to an end. That night, I invited Aura over, poured us a drink, and smiled. My ex-wife is officially behind bars. I'm a free man now, which means you do not have to provide those special services for me anymore. You worked your tail off these past 3 months. So here is your final bonus. I slid a ridiculously fat check across the counter. The amount was enough to buy a small yacht, but looking at that paper, Era did not look happy at all. She pouted, her shoulders slumping. Cass, we have been sleeping together for 3 months. Do you seriously have zero feelings for me? That question actually threw me for a loop. I sat there, thinking about it seriously for a moment before answering. Ara, my dear, feelings are not generated by physical friction. They are cultivated through spending actual life together. You are a wonderful girl and an incredible partner in bed, but for 3 months, our entire relationship stayed confined to the mattress. We have not been on dates. We have not talked about fears or dreams. How could I possibly have developed real feelings? Hearing my cold, logical analysis, Ara blinked her big, pretty eyes. Okay then. Cass, are you willing to go on a real date with me now? I froze. What did you just say? I said my crush on you is massive, Ara declared, puffing out her chest and finally confessing her master plan. Will you be my boyfriend? And just to be clear, I am not some yacht girl. I only agreed to your crazy revenge plot because I liked you. After 3 months of close proximity, I think our chemistry is totally off the charts. Please, give me a chance to actually pursue you. I promise I will never betray you. Faced with the supermodel's aggressive, heartfelt confession, I just let out a tired sigh. Ara, thank you for liking me, I said gently, but Serafina's betrayal broke something fundamental deep inside me. I honestly do not think I will believe in love for a very long time. I do not want to date anyone, so I have to say no. If I force myself to date you right now, I would not be able to give you 100% of my heart, and that's not fair to you. But Era was not the type to back down from a challenge. She pumped her tiny fist in the air, overflowing with confidence. Cass, do not speak too soon. Love is not a switch you can just turn off permanently. I am fully confident I can make you fall head over heels for me, so do not reject me yet. Just let me try. If I give it my all and you still cannot love me, I will pack my bags and leave without a fuss, but rejecting me before I even get to take you to the movies is absolutely unacceptable. Worn down by her relentless optimism and sheer stubbornness, I helplessly agreed to a trial run. I figured young girls have the attention span of a goldfish. After chasing an emotionally unavailable brick wall for a few months, she would get bored and move on to some DJ or actor, but I was dead wrong. Ara was relentlessly devoted. Her sunny, infectious energy never faded for a single second. Whenever I was with her, she made it incredibly easy to forget all the dark, twisted baggage I carried. Slowly but surely, the ice melted. I found myself genuinely falling for this bright, radiant girl. She had been right all along. Love is not something you can control. When destiny knocks, you cannot bolt the door. As for the villains of our story, after getting released from her 30-day Zephyrian jail stint, Serafina tried to test the ankle monitor a few times. She was promptly arrested, permanently deported, and banned from Zephyria for life. Being deported back home in absolute disgrace, combined with the psychological trauma I inflicted on her, completely shattered her mind. She went genuinely insane. The Vance family lost both their daughters, one to the grave and one to a psychiatric ward. Mr. and Mrs. Vance wept so much they practically went blind. Thorne, after getting his baby snatched by Serafina's goons, abandoned the Vance family to search for his lost child. He searched for years but never found him. Eventually, he remarried. But since it was his second marriage, he was aging terribly from the stress and his bank account was drained. He ended up marrying a complete nightmare of a woman who made his life a living hell. Karma truly works in mysterious, wonderful ways. 5 years after our trial run began, and I finally tied the knot in a beautiful, drama-free ceremony. This time, I finally had a real home, a home where I was respected, cherished, and unconditionally loved. After surviving a Category 5 hurricane of toxic garbage, I had finally arrived at the shores of absolute happiness